Hello, dear friends. Reaching the age of 80 is a remarkable milestone, a testament to a life rich with experience, wisdom, and resilience. But as many of us know, crossing that threshold isn't the finish line, it's the beginning of a new, unique chapter. The real art lies not just in adding years to our life, but in adding vibrant, meaningful life to our years. Have you ever wondered why some folks seem to navigate their 80s and beyond with grace and vigor, while others struggle? It's not just about good genes or plain luck. There are 4 fundamental pillars of health that become critically important in this chapter. They often operate in the shadows, quietly shaping our daily energy, our clarity of mind, and our physical independence. Today, we're not going to talk about them in fear. We're going to shine a light on them, understand them, and transform them from hidden challenges into sources of our greatest strength. This is your guide to not just aging, but thriving. Let's embark on this journey together and build a future defined by vitality and purpose. Part 1. The Unseen Architect, Taming the Fires of Silent Inflammation. Let's start with something you can't see or feel, but that may be the single most influential factor in how you experience your later years. It's a concept that doctors and scientists call inflammaging. Think of it as a low, slow-burning fire inside your body. It's not the red-hot, painful inflammation you get from a sprained ankle. This is a chronic, systemic, and silent process that, over decades, can gradually wear down your body's most vital systems from the inside out. Imagine your body is a classic, beautifully built wooden house. In your younger years, if a small spark lands on the floor, your internal fire department, your immune system, rushes in, puts it out, and repairs the little scorch mark. That's acute inflammation, and it's a good thing. But what if instead of a spark, there's a faulty wire in the walls, causing a constant low-level heat? You don't see smoke, you don't smell anything burning, but day after day, that slow heat is drying out the wood, making it brittle and weak. That's inflammaging. For years, it does its work unnoticed, until one day a floorboard gives way or a wall starts to crumble. That's when we see the diseases of aging: heart disease, arthritis, dementia, diabetes. They often aren't new problems, but the culmination of this slow internal fire. So what's fanning these flames? The modern American lifestyle, frankly. The processed foods that line our supermarket aisles, full of sugar, unhealthy fats, and chemical additives, are like pouring gasoline on the fire. A sedentary life, where we spend more time sitting than moving, allows inflammatory molecules to pool and stagnate. Chronic stress, whether it's from financial worries, family concerns, or simply the 24-hour news cycle, pumps our bodies full of the stress hormone cortisol, which is profoundly inflammatory over the long term. Even poor sleep, which we'll discuss in detail later, robs our body of its nightly chance to quell the flames. Let me tell you about a gentleman named Arthur, a retired engineer of 83 from Ohio. Arthur did everything right. He never smoked, was trim, and walked his beagle, Barney, every single day. Yet he was plagued by a persistent fatigue, a mental fog he couldn't shake, and joints that ached with a dull, constant thrum. His standard blood tests were always fine. His doctors told him it was just old age. Frustrated, Arthur sought out a specialist in geriatric medicine who ran a different panel of tests looking for markers like C-reactive protein, CRP. The results were clear. Arthur's body was in a state of chronic inflammation. The house was slowly burning. The specialist didn't prescribe a miracle pill. Instead, she prescribed a new way of living. She called it the fire extinguisher lifestyle. It started in the kitchen. Out went the processed crackers, the sugary cereals, and the microwave dinners. In came the vibrant colors of nature's fire brigade: deep blue blueberries, rich green spinach, bright orange sweet potatoes, and the healthy fats from salmon and olive oil. She asked him to add just 10 more minutes to his walk with Barney, but to do it in a park, where the quiet and greenery could also soothe his stress. She taught him a simple 5-minute breathing exercise to do before bed. It wasn't a dramatic overnight transformation, but week by week the fog began to lift. The ache in his joints lessened from a constant thrum to a whisper. He had more energy to play with his grandkids when they visited. Arthur learned that he couldn't stop the aging process, but he could absolutely take control of the silent fire within. He became the architect of his own well-being. Taming inflammation isn't about perfection. It's about shifting the balance, making more anti-inflammatory choices than inflammatory ones. Each whole food you eat, each walk you take, each moment of calm you find is like a drop of water on that silent fire, protecting the beautiful house of your body for years to come. Part 2. Your body's armor: rebuilding and preserving precious muscle. If inflammation is the invisible enemy within, then our muscles are our most visible, tangible armor against the physical challenges of aging. We often think of muscles in terms of brute strength, lifting heavy objects or opening a stubborn jar. But after 80, their role becomes far more profound and protective. They are the guardians of our independence. There's a medical term for age-related muscle loss: sarcopenia. It sounds intimidating, but it simply means poverty of the flesh. This process begins for all of us around age 30, but it accelerates dramatically after 60 and can hit a critical speed in our 80s. It's a silent thief, stealing our strength ounce by ounce, year by year. It doesn't announce its arrival. It shows up in the little things: the hesitation before getting up from a favorite armchair, the decision to take the elevator instead of the stairs, the slight tremble you feel when carrying a full pot of water from the sink to the stove. The danger of sarcopenia goes far beyond simple weakness. Our muscles are a critical part of our body's infrastructure. They are our primary defense against falls, which are the #1 cause of injury and loss of independence for seniors. Strong leg and core muscles create stability, allowing you to catch yourself if you trip on a rug or an uneven sidewalk. They act as shock absorbers for your joints, protecting your knees and hips from the daily wear and tear that leads to arthritis pain. Furthermore, your muscle mass is a major metabolic engine. It helps regulate your blood sugar by absorbing glucose from your bloodstream, acting as a powerful defense against type 2 diabetes. When you lose muscle, you lose this crucial metabolic buffer, making your blood sugar levels harder to control. Consider the story of Eleanor, a fiercely independent 84-year-old widow in Florida who prided herself on living alone and managing her own home. She was sharp as a tack and socially active. One afternoon, while bringing in her groceries, she lost her footing on the single step leading into her kitchen. The fall resulted in a fractured hip. It wasn't the fall itself that changed her life, but the aftermath. Weeks of bed rest in the hospital and a rehab facility caused a catastrophic loss of the muscle she hadn't even realized she'd been losing for years. Her once simple home became a landscape of obstacles. She returned home with a walker, and with it, a loss of freedom and a newfound fear that shrank her world. Eleanor's story is a cautionary tale, but it doesn't have to be our own. Muscle loss is not an inevitable sentence of frailty. It is perhaps one of the most treatable and reversible aspects of aging. You don't need to become a bodybuilder. You just need to send your muscles a clear signal every day: I still need you. How do we do that? First, with resistance. This doesn't mean you have to join a gym. It can be as simple as standing up and sitting down from a sturdy chair 10 times in a row, a chair squat. You can use resistance bands, which are inexpensive and gentle on the joints, to do simple curls and leg presses while watching TV. Even lifting cans of soup can provide the necessary challenge. The key is to work the muscles to the point of mild fatigue. Second, we must feed the muscles.
Protein is the building block of muscle tissue. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at using the protein we eat, so we actually need more of it than we did in our younger years to achieve the same effect. This means making a conscious effort to include a good source of protein with every meal. Think eggs or Greek yogurt for breakfast, a piece of chicken or fish with lunch, and beans or lentils in your soup for dinner. The goal isn't to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. The goal is to have the strength to pull a gallon of milk from the back of the fridge, to carry your own luggage on a trip to see the grandkids, to get out of a chair with confidence, and most importantly, to stand steady on your own 2 feet. Your muscle is your armor. Protect it, build it, and it will protect you, keeping you engaged, mobile, and in control of your own life.
Part 3. The Nightly Restoration. The Underestimated Power of Deep Sleep. We live in a culture that often treats sleep as a luxury or a necessary inconvenience. We talk about getting by on a few hours. But for those of us over 80, this mindset is one of the most dangerous we can adopt. Sleep is not passive downtime. It is the most active, critical period of maintenance, repair, and restoration our bodies and brains will get in a 24-hour cycle. Prioritizing it is not a sign of weakness. It's a strategy of profound wisdom. As we age, our sleep architecture naturally changes. We tend to spend less time in the deepest, most restorative stages of sleep, NN-REM stage 3. And in REM sleep, the stage associated with dreaming and memory consolidation. We also wake up more frequently during the night. Many people simply resign themselves to this, saying, "Oh, that's just part of getting older." But accepting poor sleep as a given is like accepting that your car no longer needs oil changes. The consequences will eventually catch up with you. Let's look at what's actually happening during those precious hours of rest. While you sleep, your body is hard at work repairing muscle tissue and managing that inflammation we talked about earlier. Your immune system is recalibrating, producing the very cells that will fight off the next cold or virus you encounter. But perhaps most importantly, your brain is undergoing a remarkable cleaning process. Imagine your brain throughout the day is like a bustling city with cars, people, and commerce creating waste and debris. At night, a specialized sanitation system called the glymphatic system kicks into gear. It flushes cerebrospinal fluid through the brain, collecting and clearing out metabolic byproducts that accumulate during your waking hours. One of these byproducts is a protein called beta amyloid, which is the primary component of the plaques found in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. Deep sleep is the peak operational time for this cleanup crew. When sleep is consistently fragmented or shallow, this waste isn't cleared effectively. It builds up night after night, contributing to the cognitive fog, memory lapses, and increased dementia risk that many seniors fear. Meet Maria, 86, a former librarian who cherished her sharp mind. She began to notice troubling changes. She'd walk into a room and forget why. Names of old friends would evaporate from her tongue. She was becoming more irritable and her energy would crash every afternoon. She complained to her son that her mind was going. She was waking up 3 or 4 times at night, but she figured that was normal. Her son, having read about the importance of sleep, convinced her to participate in a sleep study. The results were eye-opening. Maria wasn't just waking up. Her sleep was so light and fragmented that she was barely entering the deep, restorative stages of sleep at all. Her brain's cleanup crew was essentially on strike. Working with a sleep specialist, Maria created a new evening ritual. She started dimming the lights in her house an hour before bed. She turned off the blaring television news and listened to calming classical music instead. She established a firm no caffeine after 2 p.m. rule and made sure to get 15 minutes of direct morning sunlight to help reset her internal clock. Slowly but surely, things began to change. She started sleeping for longer stretches. The afternoon energy crashes became less frequent. The name she was searching for started to come back to her. Maria realized she hadn't been losing her mind, she had been starving it of the rest it desperately needed to function. Improving your sleep doesn't require medication. It requires strategy and ritual. Create a sanctuary in your bedroom. Keep it cool, completely dark, use blackout curtains or an eye mask, and quiet. Earplugs or a white noise machine can be a godsend. Stick to a consistent bedtime and wake-up time, even on weekends, to regulate your body's clock. Avoid heavy meals, alcohol, and excessive fluids right before bed. If pain is waking you up, talk to your doctor about managing it effectively so it doesn't sabotage your rest. Good, restorative sleep is not a luxury. It is a non-negotiable biological necessity. It is the foundation upon which your physical health and your mental clarity are built night after night.
Part 4. The Heart's Compass. The essential medicine of purpose and connection. We've now covered the pillars of the body: inflammation, muscle, and sleep. But the fourth pillar, and arguably the one that holds the entire structure up, isn't physical at all. It resides in the heart and mind. It is the combination of social connection and a daily sense of purpose. Its absence is not just an emotional hardship, it is a physical health crisis that is devastatingly common in our senior population. Loneliness is not the same as being alone. Solitude can be a beautiful, restorative thing. Loneliness is the distressing feeling of being isolated, unheard, and unneeded. As our lives progress, our social worlds naturally tend to shrink. Spouses and friends pass away. Children and grandchildren get caught up in their own busy lives, often in different cities or states. Physical limitations can make it harder to drive, attend club meetings, or volunteer. The result is that for many seniors, the walls of their world can slowly close in without them even realizing it. Study after study has shown that chronic loneliness is as damaging to a person's health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It triggers the same chronic stress response we see with inflammation, weakening the immune system and increasing the risk for heart disease, depression, and cognitive decline. Why? Because we are fundamentally social creatures. For millennia, our survival depended on being part of a tribe. Feeling isolated sends a primal danger signal to our brain. You are not safe. This is often compounded by a loss of purpose. For decades, our identities were wrapped up in our roles. We were professionals, spouses, hands-on parents, caregivers. Upon retirement, and as children become self-sufficient, these built-in purposes can fade. It can leave a profound void, leading to the soul-crushing question, what is my reason for getting out of bed today? Let's think about Bill, an 88-year-old retired mailman whose wife passed away a few years ago. His days fell into a quiet, monotonous rhythm. He'd watch the morning game shows, heat up a simple lunch, and maybe sit on the porch in the afternoon. He was safe, he was comfortable, but he was achingly lonely. The silence in his house was a physical presence. What he missed most wasn't big events or parties. He missed the simple feeling of being needed. He missed his wife asking him to reach something on a high shelf. He missed his old mail route where people would wait for him, sharing a quick story or a friendly wave. He felt like he had become invisible. The antidote to this is not to suddenly become a social butterfly. It is to consciously and deliberately cultivate what I call micro-purposes and connections. Purpose doesn't have to be about changing the world. It has to be about having something outside of yourself that depends on you, even in a small way. What does this look like? It could be adopting a cat from a local shelter. Suddenly, a living being needs you for food, comfort, and a clean litter box. It could be tending to a small herb garden on the windowsill. Those plants need you to water them. It could be making a commitment to call one person, a friend, a sibling, a grandchild, every single day at 10 a.m. It could be volunteering to read stories to children over Zoom through a library program, or knitting blankets for a local hospital's neonatal unit. It could be starting the project you always dreamed of, writing down your life story for your family. These small acts are anchors. They create structure in the day. They provide a reason to get up and get dressed. They remind us that our presence and our actions still matter in the world. Reaching out can feel hard, especially if you've been isolated for a while. But take the first step. Call the local senior center and just ask what activities they have. Join a Facebook group for a hobby you enjoy, whether it's classic movies or gardening. Ask your grandchild to show you how to video call. Your heart needs a compass. It needs to be oriented towards something meaningful. When you feel connected to others and have a reason to contribute, your body responds. The stress hormones recede, the immune system strengthens, the will to live and to live well burns brighter. Protect your purpose and your connections like they are the most precious medicine you have, because in many ways, they are.
As we bring our journey to a close today, let's reflect on the 4 pillars we've illuminated. We've explored the silent, internal fire of inflammation and learned we have the power to cool it with our choices. We've seen our muscles not as tools for vanity, but as the essential armor of our independence. We've uncovered the truth about sleep as our brain's most vital nightly restoration. And we've honored the profound need for purpose and connection as the compass for our heart. The key takeaway is this: thriving after 80 is not a passive process. It is an active, conscious, and deeply rewarding endeavor. The challenges are real, but they are not unconquerable. The power to shape the quality of your later years rests firmly in your hands, in the small, wise decisions you make every single day. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to become part of our Senior Wise Journey community. Please subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our future discussions. Like this video if you found it helpful. It allows others to discover this vital information. And most importantly, share it with a friend, a family member, or a neighbor who you think would benefit from this knowledge. Thank you for spending this time with us. Here's to a journey filled not just with more years in your life, but with more vibrant, purposeful life in your years.